Georgia racks up another number one recruiting class. Dean Legge, Matt DeBerry. We talked about this for a while. Matt and I have been covering recruiting for some time combined. I don't know how long, decades. But hey, Matt, Georgia's never had a number one class that has failed to win the national championship. Ah, you like that? So the 18 class was Zamir, Jamari, James Cook, etc. The 2020 class, which was probably Kirby's best class, and we can talk about that a little bit more in detail here in a little bit. But that had so many good players on it. Who can stop this machine that is Kirby? I mean, he's had three number one classes since 2018.
I'm not sure you can. I mean, this train has been rolling, since 2017, right? They've been in the national championship hunt basically every single year, and that's not going to go away, especially with this class. And I think years down, when you look at their 24 class, you're going to talk maybe about Ryan Puglisi and the quarterback, but this is going to be talking about the offensive and defensive line. 12 commitments of their 28 now are on the defensive line, 6 on the offensive line, 6 on the defensive line. And this goes back to the summer. It's not like it happened against Alabama. They lost the battle in the trenches and they said, oh, we need to, it's too late for that. They knew 12 months ago that, hey, we need to build depth, quality depth with big guys, both on offense and defense. And that's what they did in this class. But you also have the number one cornerback in Ellis Robinson. You have the number one safety in KJ Bolden, the number one linebacker in Justin Williams. 3 guys on defense alone that are number one at their position. Oh, yeah, and then just throw the number 3 linebacker in the country in Chris Cole with the number 1 linebacker in the country. It's a very, very deep class. It's not top heavy like a lot of classes are out there, but the lower ranked guys are guys with a high ceiling, and they're all potential right now who are still kind of scratching the surface of their potential. There's so much to like about this class. They only took 2 receivers, and they didn't really have like an edge guy, an elite pass rusher, but they took 3 of those in the last class. So it's not the end of the world, even though Chris Jones, one of the 3 outside linebackers, could play outside as well. But you look up and down the list, Dean, it's a lot of big physical guys in the trenches, 3 running backs, a quarterback who can move, 2 receivers, and then just stud playmakers on defense all over the board.
Yeah, I mean, Sakobi White is. Well, anyway, we don't have to get into every single guy that is on this team, but you've got Daniel Calhoun is probably to give I mean, like, so everybody's going to talk about KJ. They're going to talk about Robinson. There's going to be discussion about Puglisi, but just talk for a second about Daniel Calhoun and why. Here's why I bring him up, because I talked about Jamari earlier. You're not winning national championships without the big guys. It's just you're just not going to.
6'6", 350. He plays basketball. Great footwork.
Bingo.
I saw him multiple times. He dominated. He didn't just win every single rep. He embarrassed guys. And he put Justin Green, a 4-star defensive line commitment in this class, on his back multiple times against Mountain View. But the way he moves at 350 pounds, the basketball background definitely helps, but he is big, physical, and can move, and so can Marquise Easley at 6'5", 340. Nair Daniels, 6'8", 370. You turn on the tape of him, he's out there getting to the second level, just throwing linebackers, down the field. But these are big, agile guys that can move. And Stacey Searles went out and got his guys. Got one from New Jersey, got one from New York, got one from Illinois, got one from Texas, and then got 2 from the state of Georgia. He knew exactly what he was looking for in this class, and he got just a mountain of just giants that he can put in front of him. Now it's coach them up, develop them, and there's no reason why he can't. But you can't teach size, Dean, and they got plenty of it on the offensive line.
Yeah, you can't. But a guy who I want to get back to Kirby in a second here, but you can't teach speed. And Dwight Phillips specifically, I played with his father a couple of decades ago. I'm looking at the calendar, and he could get up and go, but his son is a larger version of him and probably just about as fast. You're not going to get that kind of speed. And I talked about it when I saw Dwight the first time. Georgia needs speed like that right now. I was talking about on the 23 team, and they didn't have that at running back. They've got it now.
Yeah, got to stay healthy, maybe
Yep.
add a little bit more weight and muscle,
Yep.
but the speed and explosiveness, I mean, the guy can run away from you with ease. Looks like he's just kind of striding and he's just flying by defenders left and right. He is going to run track this spring, so he's one of the very select few that will not enroll early and be there this spring. He'll get to Athens in June, but that speed's not going away, and he's staying in high school for a senior spring semester to run track. He could be the fastest prospect, fastest high school player in the country, and he's trying to prove that this spring. But
But
you can't teach that speed. I mean, Dean.
so just for clarification's sake, you're not going to get track blood out of the Phillips family. I mean, Dwight, for those of you don't, well, I don't expect everyone to remember this. His father won a gold medal for this country, okay, in the in the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. Track is a fundamental part of what of that family. So it's very important to Dwight. And I mean, I wouldn't want to speak for his son, but it's pretty clear it's important if he's sticking around doing that. Another guy, before we pivot back to just talking about Kirby, I do want to say, because I'm just spotlighting some guys I saw in person. Okay, um, I really did like Quintavious Johnson. If you knew I was going, didn't
I
you?
knew you were going there. You're big. You're a big Quintavious Johnson guy, and
Love him.
I get it. We were out in the heat, Dean,
Yeah,
and dude was playing both ways. Mid-August, 6'5", 250, runs like a deer, big
he's
time
not in
athlete.
condition. He's not in
No,
condition. That's his problem.
right. Yeah,
So as a
that's
big person, I can tell you he's not
yeah.
in condition. But he did, he will get in condition. He will not be out there every single play. Let's just say when he matures at Georgia and he's playing 45 snaps a game. Does that sound right? Is that a
Yeah.
little whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I just remember watching Devontae Wyatt when he was at Towers, and it was not dissimilar from the way that Johnson played. It wasn't dissimilar. It wasn't exactly the same. I mean, Devontae was. It was like a flash of lightning from him going sideline to sideline. Georgia has him. Georgia has Quintavious Johnson as a linebacker, an
Okay.
outside linebacker. Yeah, that's what they've got him down as. So maybe they know something that I don't know in terms of what he can do. But I'm just telling you, if there's a people always ask, who's what are they, the gym, or what are the, like the not thought about player? He's the person I'd pay attention to in this class. This class is. We didn't talk about the two kids from well, you mentioned Justin Williams, the two kids from Texas. These linebackers are sick. And you get the ability to have. There's no such thing as a shutdown corner in college football. It's just too hard to do that. But with Ellis Robinson, you have an extremely good corner that you can. There's a lot of these guys that can play pretty quick, I think. And Georgia's loaded, man. I mean, they're losing the 15 guys to the portal. We know, but let's just say there are 10 seniors. So that's 25. They're adding not fewer than 28 in this class. There are going to be some guys that go away for the NFL, Brock Bowers. And then we know there's at least one person coming in. Like Georgia, Matt, they couldn't sign. I don't think they really could sign 30 or 32 guys. And I don't think they could get a lot of people through the portal if they wanted to sign as many guys as they got. They have basically landed a plane on a number one class. People are wanting to win the portal. I mean, you don't have to when you've already got the guys on campus.
Yeah, and I do think that the way they're recruiting now is a little bit different with the portal because they're going after guys that want to work and compete and maybe have some patience about them, who don't mind sitting a year and learning and being developed. We're seeing a lot of these kids leave after 1 year, not stick it through. But every time I reach out to a coach of one of these kids, a trainer, whoever, one of the first things they tell me is this kid loves to work. He loves to compete. He loves to get better. You have to fit Georgia's, program. You have to fit in if you're going to make it there. And it seems like everyone in this class that I've asked about, I get that same reaction back. Yeah, this kid loves to work. He doesn't mind going and competing for a job. He loves football and he wants to get better. And he knows he can get better under this Georgia staff. So that's something that I think we might see a little more of in years to come, because Kirby doesn't want this program to be, 20 transfer out, 20 transfer in. He still wants to build this program from the guys that they recruit and bring in. And they want to develop those guys that they loved in high school and brought in and keep as many of those guys as possible. Some of them are going to leave because at the end of the day, we talk about you got to play. And if you're not playing after 2 years, 3 years for some, you got to go somewhere and play. But ideally, they would want to keep as many guys from that class as possible as long as they can and develop them the way they want.
The 40,000 foot of this, though, again, is no one is recruiting better than Kirby. I think Alabama for sure is in the same universe. So you look at essentially now anything from 2019 on, but I would say 2020 really. So
Yeah.
that class. So in 2020, number one was Georgia, number two is Alabama. In 2021, Alabama was number one, Georgia was number four. In 22, Bama was two, Georgia was three. In 23, talking about this past year, Bama was number one, Georgia was number two. This year, it's going to be Georgia at the one and Bama at the two. It should be. Listen, we're going to see, as long as Nick's there, we're going to see Georgia and Alabama play for SEC championships. They're going to play each other for national championships. As long as Nick and Kirby are there, we're going to see those two. They're not going to be in the bottom. They're not going to be out of the top four. I mean, one of those years that was the outlier. I mean, Texas A&M was the number one class in 22, but in 24 it was Georgia. 23 it was Bama. 22 it was A&M, outlier. 21 it was Bama. 20 it was Georgia. 19 it was Bama. 18 it was Georgia. 17 it was Bama. Matt, who's won the last three national championships, Matt?
Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah. So people should get used to this. This is a colossal fight between the two powers of the sport. The last game was decided by 3 points in 3 plays. And so I think you and I have talked privately about Georgia's going to have to answer for that class that Bama just brought in the 23 class that just brought in. And they brought in some players, man. They did answer. And they came back with some really good players of their own.
Yeah, they weren't going to miss another Caleb Downs type of safety out there from back.
Yeah.
We've got to get this playmaking, athletic safety, rangy, can help with the run, can help with the pass. That was a big hit to, I think, maybe the ego of the staff, missing out on Caleb Downs, who they wanted so bad and turned in a freshman All-American season at Alabama. They said, no, that's not happening again. This KJ Bolton kid's in our backyard. We're going to do whatever it takes to land him. And that's what they did. A-plus job by the staff in this class. And like we said, 25, Dean, is loaded in the state of Georgia. They're already off to a great start in 25. That's going to be a top 3 class. This time last year, 12 months ago, I said Georgia was going to land the number 1 class in 2024. I'm not ready to say they're going to land number 1 in 25, but it should be top 3. There's no reason why it shouldn't.
We've seen Georgia win national championship. You and I have legit viewed it with our eyes.
False.
You're right. You were there in Indianapolis, freezing. It's almost as cold today as it was in Indianapolis. I've not almost died on a sidewalk though, yet. But I mean, my only challenge now for Kirby is, you've got the number 1 class. Now you just have to win the national championship with them, and it's not like he didn't have the number 1 class. I mean, there's plenty of guys still from that 2000 class or 2020 class that are still around. He's an elite recruiter. He does it with relationships. This is what, he's better at recruiting than he is at coaching. He's very good at coaching. They're very good at development. They're very good at the program that they've got, whatever they want to call it, their system, their program, their organization. They're very good at that. But the wood to the fire or the wood to the stove are these players. I think that's what Kirby does better than anybody in the country. He's better at it than Nick. I don't think he's as good as coach as Nick is. He's a better recruiter though, and I think he's going to have to be, because Nick has proven time and again how important his game day has been really good for Alabama through the years, and Kirby is going to have to continue to at least recruit at the same level as Bama. They're not going to upset Alabama very often. It just doesn't seem like it to me. So they're going to have to beat them, 365 days of the year rather than the one time that they play, which is recruiting.
Yeah. We're going to see more battles on the recruiting trail between these two, just like will on the field. But it's clear that, and I'll say this, even if Alabama doesn't win the national title, it's Georgia and Alabama, the top 2 programs in college football.
I think so, yeah.
maybe Texas or Michigan can kind of creep up and get into that mix if they win it all. And Texas is recruiting at an
I was
elite
just gonna say, yeah.
too. They're doing everything the right way. I mean, it's hard to laugh at Texas like we have for the past 20 years. It feels like they know what they're doing, both on the trail for sure. They've never had a problem bringing in elite talent, but they're doing it more right now than they have 5-6 years ago. They've got to do it on the field at some point because the talent is there for them to accomplish that.
So for me, and these two have separated themselves. Bama and Georgia, for me, have separated themselves just with the hoisting of trophies. But Ohio State was always right there. I will add that, I think Texas is getting, but they got to go win it. Ohio State, they got to go win it. I'm seeing Michigan today on Sunday. We're recording this on Sunday. You cannot have a top 20 class and legitimately compete for a national championship. Like that is like I'm seeing Michigan, Clemson, like these teams that USC, okay? Like people talk about those teams winning national they're not going to win the national championship with a class that's not in the top 10. I mean, here's your top 10 consensus today, right now. It's Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Texas, the Knowles, who've done a very good job, by the way. Yep. Dan Lanning in Oregon, who's done a very good job. Miami, Auburn, OU, and then Notre Dame. The problem right now, as I see it, Matt, for everybody else is the top four there, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas, they all have 3 5-star players or more. And we know not all 5 stars work out, but you can't manufacture 5-star talent. You look at Florida State, Miami, Oregon, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, LSU. They have 1 or fewer 5 stars. Clemson and Auburn have 2. Tennessee has 2. The Gators, who have not had a good day, have had 2. Michigan doesn't have any. SC doesn't have. USC can't figure out how to get a 5-star player, and South Carolina can get 2. Like, so go ahead. I mean, if you want to win it, it's about the accumulation of high-level talent and a lot underneath it. You cannot do the Clemson Dabo move, which is to get a couple really, really good players and then like 3 stars after. Like, that ain't gonna work.
That was the Mark Richt scenario. Yeah. 4, 5, maybe 6 really, really good players, and the rest are average to below average. I don't mean to sound ugly there, but it is what it is. USC's got to do a better job.
No question.
Over there, Auburn's trying. Auburn has 2 5-star receivers.
Auburn's doing fine.
They're slowly getting there. Clemson's got to turn around. Tennessee's got to win more on the field. But even they're bringing in kids that wouldn't even sniff a Georgia or Alabama offer, and that's something that has to change too. They need full quality classes from top to bottom if they want to get to that level. And right now, they're one of those programs that are bringing in a couple of 5 stars, several 4 stars, and then a lot of guys that should be lucky that they're playing at Tennessee.
So Georgia has 24 4 or 5-star players. Clemson and Tennessee have 26 combined. It's just not good enough. Like, if you combine Clemson and Tennessee, they would be basically what Georgia's pulling in right now. And you can say, I mean, Alabama's a little lower than that, but it's not by a lot. Like, Georgia is pulling in 3 4-star kids. One of those guys is a punter, Matt. So Clemson has 9. Tennessee, go ahead.
Number 1 punter in the country.
Well, I'm just saying we're not going to put punters at 4-star. Okay, I don't care how good they are. But Miami, way too many 3-star players. Maybe you can do that in the ACC. I'm starting to mention a lot of ACC schools here. But, like, if you want to win the national championship, you better stack it up like Kirby and them. Make sure you're taking advantage of our newsletter. The link is down below. Thanks for watching.